Democrats are still pushing Russiagate even while claiming the 2020 election was fraud-free. Protests are erupting all over the world over COVID lockdowns, except in the United States, and a new study shows COVID immunity may last for years to come. Before we get started with the news, if you're watching this video, I want to ask that you please go hit that subscribe button on my homepage, like this video, and share it with your friends. I don't have a marketing team or a mini big fancy studio, so all my video traffic comes through you, my viewers. So what are you waiting for? It only takes 2 seconds. So you go to my homepage and subscribe. If you like what you see, if you like the content that I'm providing, you're going to see more of it. If you would like to be part of helping my channel grow and helping me combat the fake news narratives, go hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you never miss a video, and share this video with your friends. And if everyone who watched this video shared it one time, I'd be the biggest YouTube channel by the end of the year. All right, let's hop on over to this ridiculousness that is the Democratic Party reacting to the Trump administration. So, Brian Stelter retweeted this Mark Murray tweet, and he says, "Forget Russia's interference in 2016 or Trump's impeachment for asking Ukraine to dig up dirt on Biden. Arguably, the biggest political scandal we've ever seen in this country is unfolding right before our eyes, even if it's failed to gain traction. Consider the last 24 hours." This NBC News article says, "The 2 Republican members of Wayne County's canvassing board voted against certifying its election before reversing course, and Trump praised the action. Wow, Michigan just refused to certify the election results. Having courage is a beautiful thing. The USA stands proud." In Nevada, a state Trump lost by 2.4 percentage points, the president's campaign team filed a lawsuit asking a judge to either declare Trump the winner or reject the state's election results. In Pennsylvania, which Biden won by more than 82,000 votes, Trump lawyer Rudy Giuliani was in court asking a judge to overturn the state's results. At bottom, you're asking this court to invalidate some 6.8 million votes, thereby disenfranchising every single voter in the Commonwealth, the judge said. And to top it off, the president on Tuesday fired the federal government's head of cybersecurity, who had debunked many of the conspiracy theories that Trump's team had been promoting. Bottom line, Trump's efforts to overturn the election have stumbled and gained no significant traction yet, but it's still disturbing to watch, especially with so many elected Republicans staying silent. So let me get this straight. The story is lots and lots of smoke surrounding the election fraud. A lot of evidence surrounding election fraud. But instead, you go with Republicans pounce. As Michael Knowles over at the Daily Wire says, anytime a Democrat does something, it's Republicans pounce. Anytime a Republican does something, it's look at this, what this Republican did. There is so much evidence surrounding voter impropriety and illegally cast ballots that we start to wonder, can we ever have faith in our elections again? That is the question. And to answer this question, we have to go through these legal battles. And the Democratic-controlled media, MSNBC, CNN, and ABC, CBS, all of these massive corporate news media are simply gaslighting the American people, saying, no, there's no widespread evidence of voter fraud. Okay, there is a lot of evidence of voter fraud and impropriety. I think Tim Pool put it this way: if you're walking down the street and there's a fire alarm going off in the building, are you just gonna walk by? Or are you gonna call the fire department? No, you dial 911 and you say there's a fire alarm going off. Their fire department needs to come down here and check it out. And what happens if the fire department says, is there any widespread evidence that there's a fire? Can you see the fire itself? Or do you just hear the alarms? Well, that's where we're at right now. We can hear the alarms going off. We can see some flames. But the media is telling us there's no widespread evidence of voter fraud. None at all. We are being gaslit by the very people that we have entrusted to give us the information. and they're not giving it to us. So it is high time that we sever the cord. We stop watching them, stop giving them our money. Leave them to die. Proverbially. Obviously, we don't want to actually watch these people die, but we want to watch these giant news corporations die because they're not doing what they were supposed to do. They are no longer doing what they set out to do, which is provide the facts. They are now giving us their opinions and masquerading it as fact. But no longer is the news media the media of the people. No. They are the media of the Democratic Party. Yes, including Fox News, which is why channels like me, Tim Pool, The Daily Wire, Ben Shapiro, Michael Knowles, Andrew Klavan, Matt Walsh, and other people like us exist. Granted, I'm significantly smaller than them, but nonetheless, the fact that the news media is not doing their job and not doing what they are supposed to do is why people like Joe Rogan exist. To give you the facts. Nothing else. In fact, they are gaslighting the American people so much that we get stories like this. Candace Owens, I'm sorry, let me start out with this. Harry Styles dressed up like a girl in this Vogue magazine. There is so much joy to be had in playing with clothes. I've never thought too much about what it means. It just becomes this extended part of creating something. Read our full December cover story starring Harry Styles here. No, I don't think I will. And I think Candace Owens said it perfectly fine. There is no society that can survive without strong men. The East knows this. In the West, the steady feminization of our men at the same time of that Marxism is being taught to our children is not a coincidence. It is an outright attack. Fact check true. Bring back manly men. Sorry, Harry Styles. You're not manly. And therefore you are not necessary to society. And so some people will say, what's wrong with feminizing men? To which I respond with, not a whole lot as long as you're willing to make women more masculine. But of course, if I were to say that, then, well, I'd be touted out as a sexist. Sorry, no. Don't feminize women. Don't feminize men. Feminize women. Don't feminize men. That's not what we were created to be. We were men. We were created to be protectors and warriors and providers. And women were created to, well, you know. Men and women were created to serve different roles. This is proof positive by the fact that we are our bodies are completely different. Rib cages are different, pelvic bones are different, even our brain chemistry is different. Everything about men and women is different. There is a lot of overlap, I will agree with that. We're all human after all. But men can't give birth. Men don't have periods, no matter what CNN tells you. No matter what Vox or Vogue tells you. Men don't have periods, men can't get pregnant and have babies. And men should not be competing in sports against women. Biological men shouldn't, at least. Because it's not fair to have someone be effectively on testosterone for their entire life, have 90% more muscle mass than these women, and then destroy them on the track. I'm sorry, no. America, wake up. Do not tolerate this crap. That's exactly what it is. Crap. It's being touted out as, it's not fair. This woman is trapped in a man's body. We should let her compete with other women. No. That's not fair to the other women. What you are doing is downplaying the importance of feminism. Sorry. This new wave of feminism and transgenderism is downplaying the true importance of feminism, and it aims to destroy masculinity. Sorry, masculinity in itself is not toxic. We need more masculinity in the world. What we need is more men to rise up and build and create and to protect. We need less men to grow up and rape and destroy. That I will agree with just about anyone on. But to watch people like Harry Styles dress up in girls' clothing and to say this is completely normal and this is okay. No. America, do not accept this as your new normal. Because as soon as you do, we have lost the thing that makes us great. This is not unity. This is conformity. And conformity sounds an awful lot like fascism. And it is gaslighting to the highest order. And I refuse to sit by and wait as this happens. I cannot stay silent anymore on this topic. I tried really hard to avoid it. Can't any longer. Conformity is not what makes us strong. Unity in our diversity is what makes us strong. Everyone has a different set of skills. And America would not exist today without the diverse group of people that created it and what's gone into our history, our very diverse history. Black America, white America, Asian America. It's all American history. It's all part of our history, our shared history. And it's time for us to remember this. And the gaslighting continues. People will say things like Candace Owens. And then people like Brian Stelter will say, this is damaging to our democracy. No, Brian Stelter, it's not. You are damaging to our democracy when you suggest that we need to end the Senate filibuster. We need to get rid of the Electoral College. I do find it interesting that the people claiming that things like this are damaging to our democracy are the very ones that still claim Stacey Abrams is Georgia's rightful governor, even as late as 2019, the middle of 2019, far after the election, the 2018 election, midterms in Georgia. This is posted by Daily Wire. Even though Stacey Abrams lost her Georgia gubernatorial bid by more than 50,000 votes, the supposedly moderate Mayor Pete Buttigieg said on Thursday, this is about a year and a half ago, that the failed Democratic candidate is the rightful governor of the state that flatly rejected her. According to Politico, Buttigieg spoke at the Democratic National Committee's African American Leadership Summit in Atlanta, where he alleged that Abrams lost the election due to voter suppression by Republicans. How can someone claim that voter suppression by Republicans on such a large scale, 50,000 votes, almost 55 actually, is about 54 and a half, or 54.2 thousand votes. Meanwhile, Donald Trump is currently losing in Georgia by less than a third of that. But no, election fraud doesn't exist. You see, the left has this strange idea that voter suppression is widespread. Meanwhile, voter fraud doesn't exist at all. And the right has this strange idea that voter fraud is this vast, widespread thing. Meanwhile, voter suppression doesn't exist at all. I'm inclined to agree with the right on this one because of one simple fact. You can't have voter suppression when we had record turnout this year. 150 million votes. This year, this election cycle, Donald Trump and Joe Biden both got more votes than any other candidate in American history. And it's not even close. I'm sorry, you can't have this record voter turnout and voter suppression at the same time. It doesn't work. However, when you get things like 6,000 votes mysteriously turning to Biden rather than Trump, as they should have, and then you get two counties in Georgia to all of a sudden discover 2,500 votes here, 2,500 votes there, 6,000 votes here. The voter fraud, there is some evidence to support it. I'm not going to sit here and say it's widespread. I'm not going to sit here and say it's enough to overturn the election, but it does exist. And it's time that we stop ignoring it. It exists. Stop ignoring it. Because the definition of crazy is to do the same thing over and over in the same way and expect different results. So, news media, if you're going to keep on gaslighting the American people and telling them that voter fraud isn't real, don't be surprised when the American people go crazy. Don't be surprised when you go crazy. Speaking of crazy, doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results, it's becoming abundantly clear that lockdowns do not work. Finland and Norway know this. While the US and Europe struggle to contain in an autumn surge in coronavirus infections, two small nations are bucking the trend, keeping cases under control without stringent restrictions. In the north of Europe, Finland and Norway boast the West's lowest rate of mortality linked to COVID-19 and a low incidence of coronavirus infections, even though they have kept their economies and societies largely open while lockdowns returned to the continent. Lockdowns aren't working. It's time to try something new. Because, again, lockdowns aren't working. Stop pretending they do. Cases are increasing. Hospitalization rates are increasing. Deaths are going up and up by the day. Stop suggesting a broken tool. You don't use a broken wrench to replace your spark plugs on your car. You don't replace the light bulb in your lamp with a burnt out light bulb. So stop suggesting lockdowns when it's clear. They are not having the desired effect. They're likely having an inverse effect and increasing the rate of transmission because, well, you're having more contact with people who are having for quote unquote necessities, right? This necessary workers, public school teachers, grocery store workers. You're increasing the rate of transmission because there are less people out and about, but fewer people are interacting with more people, which is resulting in a higher rate of transmission. I know it's a little hard to understand, but think of it this way. If there are a bunch of balls bouncing around in a box, a bunch of them are going to hit each other, but there's a good chance that many of them won't hit each other. Okay? Now imagine the side of the box is outlined with balls, okay? Or outlined with those same little dots. The spaces in between. Eventually, the 6 balls that are bouncing around in the middle are going to hit every single person unless you stay away from the box, which really to survive in this world isn't possible. So, what we need to do is stop the lockdowns, mostly open the economy, wear your mask, stay away from people, socially distance, and just be a responsible person. It's time that America grows up and stops listening to the nanny state that is our government. Our government does not have the right to lock us down and keep us in our homes. Okay, this is coming from someone who had COVID. I had it. It sucked. I thought I was going to die. Not literally. I had a 102-degree fever for 3 days straight. I was coughing. I had aches. My chest hurt. I couldn't breathe. My super congested. One of the worst headaches in my entire life. But still, I'm over it now. And I might be immune for several years now. We'll get into that later. But over these lockdowns, riots are breaking out all over the world. Peru's interim president resigns as chaos embroils nation. Peru's interim president resigned Sunday as the nation plunged into its worst constitutional crisis in 2 decades following massive protest unleashed when Congress ousted the nation's popular leader. In a short televised address, Manuel Merino said Congress acted within the law when he was sworn into office as chief of state Tuesday, despite protesters' allegations that legislators had staged a parliamentary coup. I, like everyone, want what's best for our country, he said. The politician agreed to step down after a night of unrest in which 2 young protesters were killed and half his cabinet resigned. Peruvians cheered this decision, waving their nation's red and white flag on the streets of Lima and chanting, "We did it." But there's still no clear playbook for what happens next. Congratulations, Peru. You've locked down your nation. Your popular president has resigned. Half the government is gone, and chaos is erupting. All because you didn't want this coronavirus to spread. I'm sorry. The plan that makes the most sense is to open the economies. Not all the way. Okay, shut down a few things here and there. Open the economy mostly, and let the virus run its course. We now have 2 vaccines. One that's 95% effective. One that is 90% effective. That's on track with the polio vaccine. And we did it in less than 10 months. This is amazing. And even more amazing news, this study came out. Immunity to the coronavirus may last years, a new study finds. Blood samples from recovered patients suggest a powerful, long-lasting immune response, researchers reported. So what is this study? What does it say? Immunity to coronavirus lasts at least 8 months and may even last for years, new research suggests. A study of 185 COVID survivors looked at multiple types of immune cells, including those that store the memory of the virus that can activate antibodies when they encounter a new threat. The study, led by scientists at the Loyola Institute for Immunology, part of the University of San Diego, is one of the largest so far, assessing several elements of the immune response, including antibodies and T cells. It found the immune memory may last for 8 months after infection, with researchers saying the slow rate of decline in some cells required for immunity could mean it lasts longer. The study raises hopes that the protection conferred by COVID vaccines could last for years instead of an annual jab being required. Shane Crotty, a virologist at Loyola, told the New York Times that amount of memory would likely prevent the vast majority of people from getting hospitalized severe disease, for many years. A number of different papers have recently suggested that immunity may wane in as little as 3 months, raising questions about how effective any vaccine campaign may be. Last month, a study of antibodies found they fell by about a quarter in just 3 months, but more research on T cells was far more optimistic, suggesting a response may last for months. Scientists said the new findings were more hopeful, as they suggest it is possible that the immune memory could be triggered years later. There you go. I'm bulletproof, baby. For upwards of 4 years. Or more, or longer. I don't know. Maybe a decade? It's unclear what for years means. Could just be 2 years. Could be 10 years. We don't know. Because, again, this thing is still new. But, 11 months into this thing, there are survivors being tested that still have the antibodies. And the antibody memories being triggered. Which suggests this isn't really as big of a deal as we thought. Congratulations, America. You locked down and ruined your economy for nothing. Just as the rest of the world is engulfed in flames and everyone's rioting, except for America, the only ones that are rioting are the left. Because if the right were to riot, every major news organization would go crazy over it, and they would be covering it nonstop for weeks. We know this because we saw this at the Unite the Right rally. It doesn't matter that Antifa came and showed up and instigated. It doesn't matter that they were peaceful until Antifa got there. It doesn't matter that Antifa had been rioting for months on end in Portland and Seattle before this. Doesn't matter. The truth The facts, they don't matter. Just the narrative. Just the narrative matters. Well, I'm here to tell you, the facts matter more than the narrative. Call out the people that are doing bad and support the people that are doing good. And the best way you can do that, support this channel. Share this with your friends and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I will see you guys here tomorrow. Try not to burn down the country while I'm gone. Have a good one.